The richest game in football is nearly upon us. Leeds take on Southampton in the Championship playoff final. Jim, these two sides had fairly comfortable second leg wins in the Championship playoff semi-finals. How do you see this final going?
I'm fascinated by this one. I think it's the right game. It's the best two teams, quite clearly, from watching those playoffs. Leeds obliterating Norwich in that second game. The atmosphere at Ellen Road, absolutely ridiculous, and they will take a lot of fans. It's going to be so loud. I'm going to this one, and I cannot wait to hear it as much as anything. Against the Southampton side, who has beaten Leeds twice, beat them on, I think, the last game of the season, and quite different styles of play. Leeds actually had quite a difficult end to the season, getting pumped 4-0 to Queen's Park Rangers in the second to last game of the season. Had to slide that one in there. But look, it was a good QPR side, and they did the damage that day. Anyway, but I think they're kind of obviously going for that automatic promotion place, as was Southampton, but kind of run out of steam a little bit. It got a bit maybe too big for them. I don't know, and there's a few question marks knocking about here for me, because I think Southampton will look to control the game. Mm-hmm. Russell Martin plays a very, very specific way. And the emotion that you saw for Leeds United in their victory, in the Southampton win against West Brom, they walked off stone-faced. Mm-hmm. The job was sort of half done for them. Mm-hmm. Very, very controlled. They looked fantastic in that game. And what I'm confused about is that when you get to a playoff final, at Wembley, in the sun, your own fans, 85,000 people there, will it get too big for Leeds, or will it fuel them? Yeah. And for Southampton, I just spoke about, I mentioned them again, but the Bolton-Oxford game, which I went to last week, Bolton were favourites. They were expected to own the ball. They did own the ball, but it got to a point where it was kind of getting frustrating for them. Sort of the game, it's all good and well having the ball, but if you're not really doing anything with it, that can then lead to frustration. And with Russell Martin, there's not a plan B. It's plan A. Yeah. It's keep the ball. It's it's play that way. So what do you think when it comes to these two in terms of the size of it? I just think Leeds is such a well-supported club. Yeah. Do you think that could get a little bit too big for them? I
think there's a weight of expectation for both of these sides. They didn't end the season as well as they would have liked, especially if you look at Southampton earlier on in the season. They went how many games unbeaten? 25, I think. They were at points this season, both these teams were shoo-ins to go up. And these are both teams that came down last season. And so there's a weight of expectation that I feel like when you go into the playoffs, especially in recent years, you have that one side that are just extremely happy to be there. We had it last season with both Coventry and Luton. They were both sides that were really excited to get to the Premier League. I look at Leeds and Southampton, and these are sides that, if they don't go up this season, there's a lot for them to do next season in terms of squad building, in terms of going again, in terms of losing players that are very effective. If you look at this Leeds squad, they just filled the players that can play in the Premier League already. Look at Archie Gray, a player that I love, Nyonto, Somerville. They've got players that are ready to take the next step. And so for them, I think there's a weight of expectation. And similar to Southampton as well, obviously he's gone in a different direction in terms of Russell Martin, came from Swansea. He's gone to Southampton, step up for him. And he looks like the next manager in terms of those progressive managers that play good football that are ready to take that step. But for Leeds, it's a case of go up now or maybe have to change your whole forecast for the next couple of seasons. Yeah,
the experiences with Southampton, just about. I think there's a few young players. Again, you've got Premier League experience, but maybe playing in that Championship playoff final, as you say, such an enormous occasion. I absolutely love the playoffs. But for Southampton, you've got Adam Armstrong, who's been around, Joe Aribo. You've got Bednarak in there as well. Alex McCarthy likely to probably play in the final. Carl Walker-Peters, who has absolutely no reason to be playing in the Championship. It's a disgrace, if I'm honest. And the way that they play, they're a little bit Tottenham-like in terms of Carl Walker-Peters will invert. And they've just got a lot. They've got a lot of good players. Both teams do. Nonto, obviously, so exciting. Actually, obviously, my sphere of reference is that game against QPR, which we got the goals. Yeah. You could tell they were good. You really, really could tell they were good. Yeah. Somerville in particular was one of those ones where you're like, wow, I feel like he's playing in fast forward a little bit. And in that 4-0 win against Norwich, he was absolutely superb for them.
How much would you think the game towards the back end of the season when Southampton beat Leeds will come into this in terms of managers learning about each other?
I think it's so. These two managers, there's a bit of supposed bad blood, although both have spoken about it. Daniel Farke in his first season at Norwich City kind of froze out Russell Martin, who then went to Rangers. I think in his last ever game for Norwich, he got taken off 40 minutes into a second half when they conceded 3 goals and got booed off, never played for Norwich again, and that's obviously his team. So that was that. I think that will be a real
narrative,
for
Jim. Narrative, love it.
But I think Russell Martin will fuel him, and I think it wouldn't be amiss for him to let his team know that. Because I think when it comes to Southampton, those previous games, I don't think it means too much. If I'm honest, I think Leeds know they're a good team, and I know they'll be powered on. For Southampton, it's about that zip with the passing. Flynn Downs as well, another really, really good player for them. Small bone in terms of his runs, but it's all very, very structured. But if it's structured and it's easy to defend against, then you're kind of wasting your time a little bit. I think Southampton will win this one.
Really?
I do.
Well, I've got good friends who are Southampton fans, and their biggest issue is conceding goals, and they've conceded a lot of goals this season. You've got pumped by Leicester towards the back end of the season, and despite the fact they've got players who can put the ball in the back end in there, I've seen Adam Armstrong be pretty profligate in front of goals in front of goal when things matter. Got a couple of goals against West Brom in the semi-final, but I think for Southampton it's about taking those chances because, like you say, they will control the game. They will have the majority of the ball. But against the Leeds side, who you've outlined how many dangerous players that they've got, Southampton have to take their chances because if they don't, then they leave themselves open to not only getting countered, but leave themselves open to conceding goals and having to try and come from behind, which they've had to do a lot this season. And so, I had personal preference. I like the way that Russell Martin plays football. I like the way that they go about it. And as a Chelsea fan, I never want to wish anything good on Leeds. But Southampton, for me, are the team that go into this game with maybe less expectation from fans. We know how emotional Leeds are. We know how big of a football club this is, and not to disparage Southampton, they're a huge football club in their own right, but for Leeds there's a level of expectation that I don't think falls on Southampton.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's what it's about. It's about understanding the noise, understanding what it's going to be like. Could be hot. It's a very big pitch at Wembley as well, so for Southampton it's kind of allowing Leeds to see this is happening again, isn't it? They're controlling the ball, they're controlling the game, they're popping it about. There's a zip to the passing as well. And then that will lead to moments and opportunities. And as you say, I think Adam Armstrong, 21 goals, 13 assists, his movement is certainly Premier League level. Absolutely Premier League level. You saw with the goal in the semi-final, takes that touch, doesn't even look up to see where the goal is, just bang with that left foot, and in it went. Leeds have goals in that team as well. Rutter, Somerville. They do. They have quality. It's going to be a cracking game.
Yeah.
I just think that they will play and play and play, and I think they'll get their rewards. I think the experience might tell just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be Southampton's day, which I think will surprise a lot of people because I think the A side here is Leeds United.
Yeah. I agree that Southampton will get the job done, but I think it's going to a penalty shootout. I'm not going for Southampton to win on penalties.
I think it'll be Adam Armstrong's day. I think he'll get the goal, or it could be a late run from Smallbone, who's again scored in the semi-final. I think they've got those kind of players who can make those runs for them as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be Adam Armstrong's day. I think it might be 2-1. But I think it'll be 2-0 at some point to Southampton. Leeds will get one on the way back. Guys, what do you think? Leeds fans, don't go after me, please. It's just my opinion. And I'm normally wrong.